This Straight Talk Wireless 400 Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We are also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Party in the city where the heat is on. Bienvenido a Miami, ladies and gentlemen. We are at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. Estoy Rodrigo Villagomez, and we are here today to break down the next race in the playoffs. And very much excited for this one because another mile and a half means probably some more excitement, Cody.
This is one of the best. It's sad to me, Rod, that Homestead only has one date. Should be one of the tracks with two. Nobody goes to the race, so that always sucks. But the track is great. The racing is always great. This should be the championship race. I stand by that, and I wish that they would move it back to that. But it's not happening anytime soon. So, this is going to be a really good one. Obviously, we've seen the last couple of weeks, Kansas, Las Vegas. We've had some good races. This one is those tracks, but maybe even better. I mean, it's tough to top Kansas, right, with some of the races we've had there lately, but the tire wear in this, the ripping the fence in this race is going to be great, and I'm super excited for Homestead.
Plus the room on the track, too. Isn't there just a little bit more room, or is that my imagination that I'm remembering a different track? I don't know. It feels to me
they use every inch all the way up to the wall, so
well, that's what I'm saying.
Might need more room.
Yeah, well, you might need another track at this point, but yeah, no, super excited to be breaking this race down. Only a few more left, Cody. Just a handful of stuff, but that hasn't stopped the news from trickling in. We've seen some great stuff come through on Discord channel with some exciting signings and just some exciting news all the way around. So I feel like we should talk about some news. But before we do, Cody, I want to tell you that we want to thank you guys so very much for listening to this show. Right. And we love the fact that you listen. I know in the Discord, we're getting ready to end the season, obviously, and we're about to start talking to the bosses here about, this show and the future of this show and everything. And it's always great to come in with some ammunition from you guys. So I asked in the Discord to explain to me why you like the show so much. And thanks to those of you that have done that. Definitely bring that up to the bosses and make sure they know. But the best way to show the bosses how much you love this show? A simple 5-star rating. That's all you have to do, especially on Spotify. It's simple as clicking 5 stars and then continuing to listen to this podcast. It takes no other effort than one little finger. And you swipe all the time anyways. Why not just click those 5 stars, show the bosses you love us, prevent corporate gambling from taking over the space by supporting this show and all the other ones out there. So we love you very much. Take the time to do that, and we'll love you even more. So, yes, no GNews is good GNews without Cody GNews. So where are we starting, Cody?
Yes, and Boji Joe saying ask us on X. This is us asking right now, too. If you have, just shoot us a message, if you're not in Discord, which you should be. But, drop it there. But if you're not, message us, DM us, whatever. We appreciate the feedback. Helps us and, helps us get ready for it next season as well, Rod. All right, there is a lot of news, so let's get to it. Joe Gibbs Racing has announced William Sawalich is going to drive the number 18 Toyota full-time in the Xfinity Series next season, Rod. So we will have William Sawalich, we'll have Brandon Jones, and we will have Taylor Gray, all full-time, so 3 full-time JR cars. the assumption is there will be a fourth part-time car as well to go along with that. Frankie Muniz, full-time next season, Rod. He is going to drive the 33 Rayum Brothers truck next season full-time. The greatest of rides, right? You'd like to see something a little better, but it's better than nothing, right? And we will take that. And then, Rod, if you didn't see today, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to run the Budweiser scheme. So if you don't know the kind of story, Teresa Earnhardt allowed the number 8 font that DEI had trademarked to lapse. Junior snatched it up. He now owns that number. And so they're bringing back the number 8 Budweiser scheme to run the late model stock race November 23rd at Florence. And he's going to run it in select late model races in 24 and 25, which is pretty sweet. It looks great. They've got a bunch of merch. So if you want kind of that old school, 8 Bud merch stuff, they're selling all that over at Junior Nation there. So make sure you check it out.
Okay, so I'll take this one by one. As far as the JGR thing is concerned, sorry, I love all those drivers, but it's not enough to sway me over to their camp. I will still continue to cheer for them and to listen to.
I will say, just to go on that real quick, it will be interesting because this isn't going to be the powerhouse full-time drivers that we've had the last couple of years, right? I mean, Sheldon Creed, maybe not a pot, but he's pretty fucking good, right? And Chandler Smith is a really good driver. And then you go back to John Hunter Nemechek before that and Ty Gibbs before. Like, we've had some really, really strong drivers. This is a younger lineup. I am going to be – we've already been on Jones in plenty this season, but I'm going to be more apt to take him next year, especially in certain spots, because he was a Ty Gibbs spinning him out at Martinsville away from being in the championship 4 just a couple of years ago in Gibbs equipment. Like, let's not forget that. It's not like he's a bad driver. But yeah, this is a lot of younger guys this season, and Brandon Jones kind of that veteran that'll pop up here and there, but it'll be interesting to see sort of how that goes. And then maybe Martin Truex in the other car for a few races will be interesting as well. So we'll see.
Yep, we will definitely see for that one. Frankie, good to see him get a full-time ride. I really do hope the best for him. Look, it's not just because he's a celebrity. Like, I get it. I mean, there's a lot of guys that like to try to cross over and be all celebrity and say, oh, look at me. I'm here. I can do this. But just his attitude about the whole thing. Like, I've loved listening to him talk about driving, to talk about the process, and to actually just want to learn. Like, this guy's like, man, listen, I know who I am, but I also know that I'm not him in this seat. Like, this is not just me being a celebrity does not translate to me being a good driver right out of the box. So he's so willing to learn and so willing to put in laps. And I really hope the best for him. Looking forward to that. And as far as the Bud scheme, okay. So when I first came back home, I had made it known that I didn't like Dale Earnhardt Jr. I was not an Earnhardt Jr. fan. I was a Jimmy Johnson fan. And I thought everybody else sucked. And I did not buy into the Dale Earnhardt Jr. hype. I wasn't a huge fan, didn't care. So for Christmas, the first year that my wife and I started dating, before she was my wife, obviously, for Christmas, she bought me a number 8 Budweiser shirt. And that was my initial Christmas present from my soon-to-be wife. So you want to talk about, I wore it to bed. I wore it to work out. I wore it to get dirty. So in any situation in which I did need to keep it clean, I wore it. But I definitely, I don't mind now. Years have softened me toward that. So we'll go. I could buy another 8 something.
Yeah, look, I'm a Miller guy, right? I work for a Miller Lite distributor. I sell against Budweiser every day, but the Budweiser scheme is a classic one. Dale Jr. in the 8 Budweiser specifically, super classic. It's a great looking car. Don't drink the beer because it sucks. But other than that, the paint schemes are all wonderful, Rod.
You'll never convince my dad of that. My dad is a Bud guy. Like, it doesn't, like, I will give him the most beautiful crafted IPAs out there, right? I will give him a fantastic stout. He'll take a quick sip and go, this is not Bud. And I'm like, no, Dad, that's the point.
I did work for Budweiser for a few years before Miller, Rod, and I came to the light side, and it's much better over here.
Beautiful stuff. Speaking of light, it's always sunny in Miami, where we are going this weekend. Let's check in with a couple people first, saying hello to Jessica, saying hello to John Little, calling us the Crockett and Tubbs of podcasters. I don't get that reference. Am I too old for that reference?
You're the guy who gets all the references on the show, Rod. So
it's true. I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure this one out again.
And Tubbs. Oh,
TK's out there.
From Miami Vice, Rod. You should know this. This is like your era. Come on,
bro. I may have
1984. I wasn't even a thought back then, Rod. Jeez.
Well, in 1980, Miami Vice to me. I mean, no, that was Don Johnson. This much I do know. That much I do know is Don Johnson. But I never got to watch the show because in '84 I wasn't allowed to watch TV like that. Man, I was watching like Pee Wee's Playhouse. I was watching the Smurfs. Like I wasn't watching Miami Vice in '84. I may be old, but I'm not that old. So, gotta love it. But all right, yes, we are going to Miami. I think it's time we bust into it because, as you will see later on in the doc.
There's too much. Look, Rod, couple of things. Okay, we only got 3 Cup Series races left this season, so I'm getting it all in. Okay. Also, I was researching and I just kept finding, and I'm like, where can I fit this in the doc? Like, I'm just making shit up. Like, I almost created extra boxes to see if you would even notice. Like, there is a lot of stuff I like this week, Rod. I am pumped for this race. Super excited. We're going all in. We're going to enjoy these last couple of weeks of racing.
Just so you know, like I opened the doc and I know there's only 3 races left. And I said, thank God there's only 3 races left. I was like, my voice can't take much more of reading off.
I'm going to be doing all the talking, Rod. You just sit back and listen.
Well, okay, then you know what? That's what the listeners like anyway. Is like why can't Cody talk more? And I'm like, oh, fine, we'll just get a spin-off a spin-off podcast called the Cody Picks Podcast, and I'm sure that'll do way better than the main show because they'll be like, no, Rod, let's go. I love it.
I don't think that anybody will. We've already had a few where I've had to host, Rod, and nobody likes that, so that's why you're here. Real quickly, entry list: 38 entries. They will all make the race. Kaz Grawl is back in the 15. AJ Allmendinger, we'll talk about him in a bit. He's back in the 16. JJ Yaley's in the 44. Chad Fincham in the 66. Boy, those last 2 cars should be really fast this weekend, Rod.
Oh, they'll be fast. They'll be fast to the bottom. They'll be fast going in reverse. That's what they'll be fast for.
It'll look like they dropped anchors when the green flag goes, but yeah,
the parachute will open. But all right, let's get to that. But first, you know what we got to do? Got to pay the bills, ladies and gentlemen. We got to pay the bills by telling you about Underdog Fantasy, which we very much love to do. Which is why I love this network as it is, because all the stuff that we talk about is stuff that I like to actually talk about. I'm not trying to talk about some crazy pills or some other sort of stuff, which, by the way, if you are a pill company, I will talk about your pills gladly. But I will say right now that I love talking about Underdog. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. You got NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, Formula One, esports, whatever it is that's out there and more. Boostober is upon us, which means, well, hold on, let me say it right. Boostober is upon us, which means you're getting a spooky amount of profit boosts and so much more. With NBA tipping off, every NBA Pick'em entry from, well, now until the 27th is going to be boosted, and you can use all of your specials and boost on all flexed entries. Cody nailed a Cade Otton higher than receiving yards for last night's Monday Night Football. Follow him for more fantastic advice. And in the meantime, sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. As was stated before, bienvenidos a Miami. We are at the Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida, set for 267 laps around this 1.50 mile paved track for 400.5 wonderful miles on yet another mile and a half racetrack. Man, I tell you, just like you, I'm kind of getting it all in because there's only 3 times left for me to be able to announce a track before the season's over.
Gotta get it all in, Rod. Boji Joe's wanting to know who the play-by-play guy and who's the color guy. Come on, that's obvious. Rod obviously keeps the show on track, headed in the right direction. He knows what's actually going on. I just babble over here. So, yeah, I'm definitely.
But that's the dynamic we've worked out over 3 seasons.
I don't want to be the play-by-play guy, and Rod's really good at it. So, and I'm good at just bullshitting and talking. So here we are.
Oh man, I absolutely love it. No, this is what makes it fun each and every day. This is not a job. This is an adventure. The Army's the wrong. I should have joined this instead of the Army when I first got out, but oh well. All right, Cody.
Army
Yes.
needed you too, Rod. So
Yeah, and sometimes I wonder. I mean, I just signed an extension for 6 more years, and the guards.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, Jesus.
But that doesn't mean anything because I could drop my retirement paperwork tomorrow.
Oh,
So
well,
that's,
there you go. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's one of those
I've got
one-sided contracts. That's nice.
I've got options. I'm good to go. But you know
All
what
right,
else
Rod.
is an option?
Speaking of options,
Indeed,
yes.
there it is.
This is the Jeff Gluck trying to get you to vote yes. I don't know that it worked last week, but maybe just not enough people heard it. Not enough people tried it. You were not quite sure what to do. That's okay. Here you go, Rod. This is your shitbox special of the week. If you bet on this, whether you win this bet or you don't, it will make your day exciting watching the leaderboard as things go up and down. Suddenly, John Hernimacek stays out. Corey LaJoie stays out, throws everything into chaos, and it's wonderful, right? So that's what we're looking for. So we're going back to the shitbox group special of the week, Rod. This one is Group G over on the Caesars. It's got Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, and Zane Smith in it. Give me, Rod, Zane Smith plus 310. He is the longest shot in this group, Rod. So here's what I did. I went back and I looked at Homestead-Miami here, 1.5 miles, right? It's high tire wear. It's like last week we talked about Las Vegas being a direct comp to Kansas. Like they're almost identical, like same thing, copy paste. You can look at them. I don't know that there's anything I know that there's not anything that's a copy paste of Homestead. So it is a little different, but it's a high tire wear, 1.5 miles. Kansas and Vegas are going to be the closest comps. Darlington is a good comp, according to our buddy Ryan over at iFantasy Race, which his sheet of comp tracks is great because it's always nice to go look through it and be like, okay, because I don't know, for whatever reason, Darlington, I didn't think of it too much until I looked at his sheet, and then I'm like, of course Darlington, because it's a high tire wear, right? Intermediate track, like it does. So those. Also, I threw Michigan in here because Michigan's close enough and it's recent. And then I threw in that was it. So those 5 races. So you put all of these together, or 4 races rather. But you put all of these together. Zane Smith, 16th at Las Vegas, 10th at Kansas, 7th at Michigan, 23rd at Darlington. Michael McDowell, 20th, 29th, 19th, and 28th. So he's 0 for 4 against Zane Smith at those 4. And again, to the other reason I wanted to make it just the recent stuff and not go all the way back to the beginning of the season. Zane Smith had a horrible open of the season. We've talked about it multiple times throughout the year, right? Horrible opening of the season, but he's been good as of late. So this is a good chunk of a sample size, right, of comparable tracks recently. So McDowell 0 for 4 against beating Zane at all of these. Ricky Stenhouse, 27th, 28th, 13th, 22nd at Darlington. So he did get Zane by 1 spot. So 1 for 4 for Ricky Stenhouse on these 4 tracks. Eric Jones, Rod, 25th, 35th, 16th, 24th, 0 for 4. So out of the 12 guys matched up here, 4 races times 3, 1 race, Ricky Stenhouse by 1 spot at Darlington beat Zane Smith. That's it. And yet he is the highest priced guy in this group at plus 310. Again, this is going to have you looking up and down the board. Not so much. Well, I think more so up for certain guys, maybe pretty far down for Eric Jones. But it's going to have you all over the board. It makes it fun. This will make you want to vote yes on the Jeff Gluck poll. We're doing our part for the NASCAR community, Rod. Then there was a head-to-head that I wanted to throw in here as well. I ran out of space in the docs. I put it in this first box. Also, I am on the Fade Joey Logano train this week, Rod. It's a scary place to be. It's a scary thing to do. But the reason for it, so I'm going to take Chase Elliott's the one matchup I could find prior to the show. This is the one I took. Chase Elliott over Joey Logano, minus 125. But a couple of things here. So 2 seasons ago, Joey Logano won at Las Vegas, first race of the round of 12, round of 8, locked himself into the championship, right? Same scenario as this year. He then went on to Homestead the next week and finished in 18th place. Not impressive, not a great finish, just kind of showed up and did his thing, right? Because if they're doing things correctly, which I would imagine that they will be, they don't give a fuck about Homestead. They don't give a fuck about Martinsville. They're already focused on Phoenix and being the best that they can to win that race because that is what matters. It doesn't really matter what happens to Joey this weekend. So, while we talk about momentum a lot, while we talk about all those things, like not like he went out and dominated last week anyways. They pulled the right strategy. Great call by them. It worked out. It was great. But I do think that they maybe fall off a little bit this week. And that's not really going out on a limb because he has the fewest top 10s and top 5s since he was at Joe Gibbs Racing, Rod. Some of you might not know, Joey Logano used to be in the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing a long fucking time ago. He's not had less top 5s and top 10s in his entire Penske career as he will this year. Even if he were to get a top 5 and top 10 the rest of the season at these last 3 races, it's still going to be the fewest it was. He only has 6 top 5 finishes. 3 of those are his wins. And we know fuel mileage kind of came into play in all 3 of them, one being a super speedway, but big time in the other 2, right? He does have 11 top 10s, but still, it's only 11 over the course of a season is not crazy. Chase Elliott, on the other hand, has 9 top 5s, 16 top 10s. I like that. Elliott only has 2 finishes worse than 21st this entire season, which you really like as well. You go back and you look at the comp tracks throughout the entire season. Chase was 33rd at Las Vegas last week. Of course, got involved in that wreck early, right? Damaged things. But 9th at Kansas, 11th at Darlington, 15th at Michigan, 7th at Charlotte, 3rd at Kansas, 1 Texas, 12th at Vegas, 1. Joey, 1 at Vegas, of course, right? So he beat Chase there, 14th at Kansas, 8th at Darlington. So he did get Chase by 3 spots there, 33rd at Michigan, 14th at Charlotte, 34th at Kansas, 1, 11th at Texas, 9th at Vegas, 1. That's the only other time that he's beat him. So out of all of these comparable tracks throughout this entire season, he beat him last week because of the wreck and the fuel mileage. He beat him at Darlington, which was an extra 100 miles because it was a Southern 500. And he beat him at Las Vegas all the way back in March. Give me Chase Elliott over Joey Logano this week, Rod, at -125.
So yeah, as far as that's concerned, I think that the Joey Logano, the one guy that I think would be that needs to beat him is Chase Elliott too. So I would definitely take that. I mean, if there was some other fringe guys and Joey, I definitely would.
Yeah. I mean, Elliott's not. I wanted to be on Elliott a little more this week, and like he's not been great at the other thing I forgot to mention. Elliott, the last 4 races here, Elliott has beat Joey 3 out of 4 times. They haven't been super impressive finishes from Elliott, a couple 14th places, like nothing really that great. He's not been wonderful here, but he's just been solid, and that's kind of what I expect from another solid, good day. Whereas there's very little like flexibility for this to turn into much of a strategy race because tires are so important. So I don't think that Joey's going to be able to capitalize on something like that. And we've seen he just doesn't have like a fast car.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's it. It wasn't a fast car last week either. It just was a car that was had enough fuel in it and enough strategy to get there. So, all right.
And
speaking
big balls Paul on the box.
Big balls Paul on the box. All right. My first bet. My first bet is Trackhouse Racing. I'm going to take them over Richard Childress. And really, this is just I'm gonna not inundate you with a ton of numbers because this bet really for me comes down to we've tried to be on Kyle Busch. We really have, and it just has not worked out for us. Ross Chastain, on the other hand, a nice solid top 10 day last week. He seems to be, and we know that he can turn it on too during the playoffs, even if he's not in the playoffs. And of course, the last few weeks have been good for him too. He won in Kansas. I'm throwing out Talladega. I'm throwing out the Charlotte Roval, but 7th at Vegas as well for him. You even go back all the way back to the 1.5 miles at Texas where he crashed out of that one, unfortunately. But that was a different scenario for young Ross Chastain. But again, he seems to be able to turn it on during the playoffs. And then Daniel Suarez in this particular car, an average finish of 21.4. 16th, he did have a 10th place finish and a 15th place finish there as well. But for Daniel Suarez this season as well, he's had some pretty decent finishes. Like I said, he finished 3rd last week. So we had 2 Trackhouse drivers inside of the top 10 at the last 1.5 miles that we were at. And then you go all the way back up to Texas, where he was 5th place at Texas as well. So a couple of good solid finishes there. Kyle Busch, I can read you all of the numbers and all of the great things he's done at every single track on this entire circuit. And it doesn't matter anymore. Like, it just feels to me as if you can say Kyle Busch has the most wins. Kyle Busch has led the most laps. Kyle Busch has all of the superlatives that you can give the guy. and then he's just going to come out and 13th place finish at Las Vegas. Both Trackhouse drivers finished better than him at the last mile and a half. 19th at Kansas. I finished better than Kyle Busch at Kansas. It's rough. It's very rough to be a Kyle Busch fan right now. I get it. I know that we're not going to necessarily get all the love from some of the rowdy fans out there, but even still, Austin Dillon, I know you're going to make a case for him in a little bit. And look, this can still cash regardless of whether or not Austin Dillon finishes where you're going to be, because all one Trackhouse driver needs to do is beat Austin Dillon, which is probably going to be the strongest Richard Childress car that's going to be in this field right now. So this is what I'm saying. Even if Dillon is a strong car, which he's been, and I'll read off some of the numbers, but I'll let Cody make the stronger case. There's been a 10th place. There's been a 4th place. There's been a 12th place at this particular track. Lately, 37th at Las Vegas, and then 12th at Kansas. Like, there's going to be enough there to give Cody what he needs, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a Trackhouse over Childress day, because all it's going to take is one, and that's probably going to be Chastain. But if Suarez decides to find speed like he did, or stay out, or play the right strategy card to put him in the top 10, then we're gonna be, both of us, eating a little bit of steak.
Yeah, I think that AD really is going to be your problem here, Rod. I'm going to talk about him in a minute, but I really like AD this weekend, which is always a scary thing to say, but when we get to the stats, you're going to see why. Yeah, I don't know. I'm tore on this one, I guess. The Kyle Busch angle of things, like, he should be good everywhere. His stats are good everywhere. It's sort of like looking at Lewis Hamilton at F1. Like, he has great stats everywhere, right? And it's like, how do you filter out where he's actually going to be good at now, where he's not? I don't know. And then the Trackhouse guys, like, they just seem like such coin tosses lately. Like, Suarez finished 3rd last week, but that was mostly strategy related. Like, I don't know, all over the place with these guys. So I'm just going to not pick a side and give you my AD bet in a few.
Well, I definitely picked a side. I asked a model which side he was on for this one, and he didn't know what he was talking. What he just said, "Who's Kyle Busch? I'm just here to model for the suits." And I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I was told to ask models what they think."
I thought we were supposed to talk to models about this stuff. And what do you mean you don't know?
I went to the model, and the model was like, "I don't know. I'm just here to show lingerie off or suits off or whatever. I don't care." Anyways, all right, we're gonna come back with more of our bets. Until then, let me tell you about BetUS. We're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS doesn't use or ask models for anything. They've been around for over 30 years. Easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players are always welcome. Sign up and deposit $100. You got a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. Going to give you some of our, BetUS, they give us some great numbers on some of these bets that we're going to give you here later on. So make sure you're sticking around for those. You can use our link in the process to sign up, get 125% deposit bonus up to on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN. They got to know that we sent you. BetUS, bet with America's favorite sports book. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, SGPN's proud partner. Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive models, the only models that we sanction in the sports gambling podcast world. You get those in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model. Ask your own model. Copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm's going to give you predictions for every game and player prop. And also, I got a myriad of stats, research, trend analysis, give you even more betting insights. Plus, NBA models are now live. Gotta love it. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Yeah, we're getting down to the end of the season, aren't we? It's hilarious.
It is hilarious, Rod. Speaking of the end of the season, something that's been good to us all season, Alex Bowman top 10 plus 130. Just repeat everything we've said from all the previous shows. We hit this last week, similar number. Why would we not take it again? I don't know. We sort of talked about it last week, right? It's the thing of he's pissed off, and as he should be. Like, He had the best playoffs going and everything was great. And he was in the round of 8 and now he's out and now Joey's in the final 4. Like, oh man, just so frustrating for him. But yeah, how do we not take this again, Rod? You look at Homestead, he's been a bit up and down. You go through his last 4 races here. So I'm going to go back 4 races ago, which he did miss the 22 race for injury. But if you go back to his last 4, he finished 9th, then he finished 18th, then he finished 9th, then he finished 19th. Time for a 9th place finish again, Rod. That's inside the top 10. So he is due for that 9th place again. But you go back and you look at recently and what he's done. 5th place at Las Vegas, 6th place at Kansas. Again, those are the 2 most recent comp tracks. 19th at Darlington. Again, you got that extra 100 miles in there, so take that for what it's worth. 9th place at Charlotte, though. 7th place at Kansas 1. He's been good on the intermediates all season. It's been up and down-ish for him here, but 2 top 10s in the last 3 races. And I think that we're going to get it again from Alex Bowman this week because he's just been super consistent as of late. And he's been on a tear of getting top 10s once again like he was earlier this season when he kept hitting it. This is sort of like the Bowman bet from earlier this year. It's also like the Austin Hill for a long time as far as, you keep getting a good number each and every week for something that keeps happening each and every week. Why wouldn't you keep taking it? So Alex Bowman, top 10, plus 130. And then you mentioned him a few minutes ago, Rod, but Austin Dillon, top 10, 6-1. JDK pointed this out in the Discord. Of course, if you're not over there, sg.pn/Discord, make sure you get in there. But Austin Dillon, here's his 10. He has 10 career starts at Homestead in the Cup Series, Rod. 21st in his first career, or 25th in his first career start. Okay. After that, 14th, 12th, 11th, 8th, 7th, 12th, 14th, and 10th. That's 9 top 14 finishes in 10 starts. I mean, he is right there, close to or inside the top 10 every single time they come to this track. 4 top 10 finishes in the last 5 races. The last 5 times we've been here, Rod, 4 of the times he's been inside of the top 10. It blows my mind that we're getting this big of a number for him. 12th place at Kansas last week. So he was, 12th place at Kansas a couple of weeks ago. He did wreck out last week, but again, that's going to happen, right? 12th at Kansas, though, close to the top 10. 17th at Michigan, 15th at Darlington, 8th at Texas earlier this year. So intermediate tracks, he's been in the top 10 or very close to the top 10, and he's been really good here. Don't overthink it. Rye Cape checking in, says long time since he caught a live show. How we feeling? Feeling good, Rye. Thanks for joining us. Also says he thinks he might have 83 left in his one and done. This will be a good week to use him because he's been really solid here. Like Austin Dillon this week, and I think 6-1 for a top 10 number for him. A bit too big for a guy that's been as consistent as he is. And again, like, AD's always that guy where you're like, yeah, but it's Austin Dillon, right? But where and we've talked about, and actually we've cashed on him a few times this season. He feels a lot like Brandon Jones. Like, although maybe it seems like we talk about Brandon Jones more than we do, but there's certain tracks where Brandon Jones is just really good and he shows up almost every time. And his luck maybe is a little worse, but Austin Dillon, it's the same thing. He's not good everywhere, not good every week, but on the tracks where he is good, he consistently shows up and he's good time and time again. This is one of those tracks. So not overthinking too much on either of these. The Bowman play is just like a system play at this point. He's been getting it done. Just did it last week. Why can you do it again this week at plus 130? You're not even, it's not minus 125. Like, it's a good number. And then AD top 10 at plus 600.
Yeah, so the Bowman top 10 for sure. That's actually one that I was looking at, but you got to it first. And then Austin Dillon. Hey, look, if we're not throwing out some of these potentials, then we're throwing them out. So, all right, I am going to go to my top 10 bet. And I talked about him earlier in the box before, but now I will officially make it official. Daniel Suarez, plus 300, 3-1 over on BetUS for a top 10 bet. Look, all I got to tell you is he did it last week in Las Vegas, right? A third place car. He started 23rd too in that race. So it wasn't as if he was like starting in the top 10 and then just kind of running there all day. He ended up with that third place finish. I honestly, I don't care how he did it. I don't care how that 99 team did it. I don't care that they stayed out. I don't care if they would have pitted for new tires and drove up the, I don't care how it happened. It happened. And the potential for Daniel Suarez to have good top 10 finishes is always there. Trackhouse, we know, is a solid team. I just got done telling you that happened. Las Vegas earlier this season, he finished 11th place, one spot out of the top 10, right? We're going to talk about horseshoes and hand grenades. He was almost there. Texas came back with a solid 5th place finish. Then in the middle of the season, it just got murky for him, right? He wasn't doing well at a lot of tracks. I mean, 21st in Loudon, 22nd in Nashville. Like, it just kind of dropped off. 8th at Michigan. That was a pretty good rebound. He did end up 2nd at Atlanta, like we talked about with the Super Speedway finish. And then 13th at Kansas, which is 3 spots outside of that top 10 altogether. And believe it or not, if you look at these average finishes at Homestead since February of 2021, like they do at the driver averages site, he's actually somewhere close to the top 10 anyway. So it's AJ Allmendinger, William Byron, Austin Dillon, Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick. That's 9. He's 9th in line as far as average finish is concerned. 13.7 average finish in those 3 races at the Miami Homestead track. I know it's only one top 10 finish in that span, but listen, man, it's Daniel Suarez. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Finishes here, 16th last year, 10th place the year before that, and 15th place the year before that. So all 3 of those in the 99 car, inside or close enough to the top 10 to make me feel comfortable, especially at 3-1. This was at plus 180 at, I think, Caesars. So for BetUS to give us 3-1 on this one, you gotta jump on that number, because that is a solid number when other books are valuing this closer to even money.
Yeah, Daniel, what do I have against Daniel Suarez, Rod? I don't know what
Same thing I have against Ty Gibbs.
I think so. I can't ever wrap my head around Suarez. 3-1. I know. I wish it was bigger
for a top 10.
It's true. It's for a top 10. So you made great points. You almost talked me into it, so we'll count that as a win.
All right, we'll get to your next box. We have 20 minutes left.
Okay, I'm speeding up here, Rod. We're getting close to. No, it's fine. I got some long shot top 10s, so these will be pretty easy. Zane Smith top 10 at 12-1. Carson Hocevar 28-1 on Bet365. I don't know if this is a mistake. It's got to be. Carson Hocevar 28-1 for a top 10 on Bet365. Zane Smith is 12-1 as well. I like both these guys this week. We've talked about these guys plenty this season, right? I just talked about Zane a couple of minutes ago in the sort of shitbox group, but like he's actually been really strong lately. 16th last week at Vegas, right? That's a good finish. 10th at Kansas. There's a top 10 for you. We all cashed tickets on him there. 7th at Michigan. I think we all cashed tickets on him there as well. 23rd at Darlington. Not the best of finishes, but again, had that extra 100 miles and whatnot. He has 2nd place finish here in the Truck Series a couple of seasons ago. So I think at 12-1, it's very possible for him to get that. And then when it comes to Carson Hocevar, Rod, you look back and really it's not been great for him a mile and a half this season. I will say that. And so maybe that's why his number's a little bigger, but it shouldn't be this big. For what he's capable of doing and for as good as he is, it should not be this big. He finished 10th place at Michigan not too long ago. So that's a bigger or intermediate track with the where he got inside the top 10. If you go all the way back to Vegas in the spring, he was 15th there. And he was running, as Bojo Joe points out, he was top 10 for almost most of the race in Vegas. I know for a while he was in the top 10. I don't know if it was most of the race, but he was definitely running up there. Also, he won the Truck Series race here just last season, Rod. So it's not like he doesn't have experience doing well on this track. 28-1 is such a crazy number for a guy that's been as good as Hocevar's been this year, right? He's going to be the Rookie of the Year. We've been super impressed with how he's run all season. He's actually doing pretty well here as of late. He's top 15 of 4 of the last 10 races. So that's not, I mean, again, you're still getting a Spire car, right? And it's still a rookie, but he's got 10 top 15s on the season. He's been inside the top 10 or close to it a good chunk of the season. And then if you look at where he's at on the list, I mean, some of the names around him, they fixed it already? Oh man, somebody else must have got in on it, Rod. He's 5-1 now. That's crazy. He was, I hope I screenshotted that because I was like, there's no way. It had to have been a mistake. So hopefully Maybe somebody just bet it. I did screenshot it, so I'll post that in the Discord if you want to see it. It's oh man, oh that sucks. It did drop down
taking it 5-1 though.
Yeah, fuck it. We'll take it at 5. I don't know, Rod. I don't know if 5-1's big enough. Man, that's really disappointing. I wish that would have stayed just a little longer because that was clearly a big mistake. So yeah, I'm gonna probably not take it. I don't think at 4-1 or at 5-1 it's worth it. And it was all about the number. So just give me the Zane Smith top 10 at 12-1 instead. Hopefully, if some of you got it, hopefully you did quickly before it changed that fast.
I'll make sure to edit out all of your Carson Hocevar stuff.
Thank you.
Nobody's gonna ever hear that you mentioned. No, I'm just kidding.
Man, it makes me sad.
All right. Well, then I'm going to turn to Daniel Suarez's teammate. I just talked about Trackhouse in general. Now I'm just breaking it out. I was like, well, fine. If I'm going to take Trackhouse as a good team this week, I'm just going to break it out. Ross Chastain's top 5 number is plus 250 over there on, what did I get it on? I think I got it on Caesars. That's the only place where I got top 5s right now. Somebody please fact check us because apparently lines are changing as we're recording right now. But I talked about it a little bit too when I talked about Trackhouse over Childress, and that Ross Chastain just won at Kansas, right? Mile and a half, led 52 laps. He started 20th in that race and ended up winning. So there was speed strategy. It didn't matter how it happened. It just happened. He just finished 7th in Las Vegas earlier. If you look at our friends over at iFantasy Race, the 2024 high-speed mile-and-a-half track total speed rankings heat chart, Ross Chastain sitting in 6th place, right behind Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr., and William Byron. But, Ross Chastain right there, 6th place, right? Somewhere in striking distance within that spot. So, how's he done on intermediate tracks in general? Well, I just told you in Vegas, he finished 7th. In Kansas, he finished 1st. Darlington, he finished in 5th. Bad day at Nashville, finished 33rd. Charlotte, just outside of the top 5 in 8th place. An 11th place at Darlington earlier. And 19th at Kansas, 32nd in Texas. We talked about that it wasn't a really good start for Ross Chastain this season and Trackhouse in general. But they've seemed to pick it up when they've needed to. 4th place at Vegas earlier in the year. So that's a top 5 right there. A 5th place in Vegas in 2023, a 2nd place at Texas in 2023, a 5th place at Darlington, a win at Nashville, a 5th at Kansas, a 2nd at Homestead, a 2nd in Vegas. We know that he can get it done. The question is not if, the question is if. You know what I'm saying? If everybody, I was stopping for a second. They're like, what are you talking about, Rod? No, it's not that he can't get it done. It's just, can he get it done on that given day? That's really what it's all about. And of course, that's why we're gambling. And that's why it's plus 250 for him to do it, because the books know that he can do it. Oh, I'm sorry. Plus 300.
Bet 365, Rod.
Ooh, okay. So, but not everybody gets bet 365. So that's why I don't always get it.
So yeah, plus 250 at the other places.
So you're getting Daniel Suarez's top 10 number for Ross Chastain's,
which I like. I would much rather take the Chastain number than the Suarez number. We've obviously seen he just won at Kansas a couple of weeks ago. We've seen what he's capable of. And this track's been good to him. So yeah, no arguments from me there. All right, Rod. Up next, we're going to go to the top manufacturer market. Man, just so many things I like this week. So I'll try and rumble through these quickly. But Fords, I'm going to make a case against the Fords again here in a minute on my next bet. Spoiler alert. Just like last week, I don't think a lot of Fords are going to finish in the top 10. I think it's going to look a lot like it did last week. And we're going to talk about that again in a minute. But that's going to open up who can be that top finishing Ford, because we saw it last week, Rod. I don't have it pulled up, but Joey Logano obviously won. I think we had one other guy inside the top 10, and then like Corey LaJoie was even the next best finishing Ford. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, so Buescher was 10th, and then LaJoie was 14th, and then Burton. So, I mean, just kind of shows you what's possible with the Ford group. Again, kind of the weakest of the bunch. I already made a case against Joey. I will say Ryan Blaney's been really good at this track. We're not going to talk about him. Expect a good day from him, but things can go wrong, as we saw last week, right before the race even started. Blows a tire, he's in the backup car, run with the squirrels, get your nuts cracked. That could open up opportunities for these other guys, and you might not need to finish second or win the race. You might be able to get away with 7th, 8th, 11th place finish And he's cashed this top four. So I'm going with Noah Gragson 22-1, Austin Cindric at 25-1. I like both of these guys, Rod. Gragson has been consistent on the 1.5 miles this season. 18th at Vegas, 18th at Kansas. Not the best of finishes, but good enough, kind of hanging out there. And like I just said, I mean, LaJoie was one of the top in 14th place last week. So you don't have to be too much better to get there potentially. Michigan, 12th place, 14th at Darlington. The first time we were there, 9th at Kansas, 6th at Las Vegas. He's got that upside, right? In the first race there. 18th at Texas. 5 Xfinity Series starts for Noah Gragson here. Led 127 laps, won the last time out. Should have won the race before that, Rod. Cruising, beating everybody, on his way to the win. And then David fucking Starr, I'll never forget this because it cost me a lot of money. David fucking Starr just gets in the way, and Gragson just ran him the fuck over, blew his car to pieces. Bad finish that day, but should have won that. So he should have won the last 2 times he was here in Xfinity. His other 3 races, all top 5 finishes, really good in the Xfinity Series here. Austin Cindric, 19th in his first start here, but 12th last season. So a little bit improved, right? We saw him running in the top 10 last week at Las Vegas, showing a little bit more speed out of there. 3 top 5s in Xfinity, led 184 laps over his last 4 races here at in the Xfinity Series, at least at Homestead. So pretty good there. Martin Truex Jr., Rod, top Toyota, 6-1. Going to run it back. Same reason we talked. Rod takes his headphones off, walks away. For those of you listening on the audio, it's the same reason as last week, right? Like, look, he was running second half the race. I mean, he was up there with a chance. It's another 1.5 miles. Rod, I don't know if you've seen, he's running the scheme from the 2017 championship, the Bass Pro Shop scheme from the 78 car. It's going to be on the 19 this week. You like to see that. Truex has been good here. 4 top 3 finishes in the last 7 races, 12 top 10s and 19 career starts here. 29th last year was a bad race, but prior to that, 6th, 3rd, a 12th in there, 2nd, 1st. That's his last 7 results here. He's been pretty good. Yes, Reddick should be good. Yes, Bell should be good. I mean, is he even good anymore? Nobody knows. Like, look at last week, though, for things that can happen to Bell. Look at last week for things that can happen to Reddick. Things can go wrong. And then, Rod, AJ Allmendinger, we had some talk about him in the Discord. He has 2 next-gen starts here, so he started both seasons here. 5th place last year and 3rd in 2022 in this Colleague 16 car, and you're like, what? So I was hoping to get his top 10 number, but it's only 2-1, and it's like, it just doesn't feel like a good enough number for the car that you're getting. But 28-1 for Top Chevy, same thing, right? Larson should be good. Byron should be good. But Elliott's not been that good. Like, what if Busch has problems? What if Larson hits the tire barriers going on the pit road like he did last year? Like, look at last week for Larson. Things go wrong, right? And that's what you're looking for with a bet like this. AJ, 2 top 5 finishes and 2 next-gen starts here. Hard to argue too much against that. He's coming off of, I mean, he's running great right now, right? He's in the championship 4 for Xfinity. He's firing on all cylinders. Got that momentum behind him. So yeah, I think that AJ's worth a shot at 28-1 for the top finishing Chevy.
You said AJ Allmendinger, so I don't argue with that at all.
Rod stops listening at that point and just agrees.
Yeah, you say AJ Allmendinger, I'm going to be like, yep, whatever. Win the championship. Yeah. Okay. I'll take that. So, I mean, look, they're all long shots.
Chris checking in. What's up, guys? I think Indiana just scored again.
What is that? Is that
they beat the Huskers like 59-7 last week, Rod.
Is that in football?
Yes, that was football.
Or basketball. I don't
know. Okay. Just you watch football? Come on.
I don't watch that football. If it's not Fresno State or Army, I don't watch it. Which, by the way, props to Army. Ranked for the first time in forever, kicking everyone's ass.
About time they catch up to Navy and start getting ranked.
Excuse me? It doesn't matter now. Look at they're both in Conference USA. This is going to be a hell of an Army-Navy game for sure.
It is. Oh, yeah.
All right. Speaking, you already talked about a couple of guys that are going to be good. I think both of them will be good. Their top 5 numbers in and of themselves, not good. So we'll just put them together. Caesars gives you both to finish inside of so I'm going to take Reddick and Bell to both finish inside of the top 5 this week at plus 240 over on Caesars. I mean, look, Christopher Bell won this race last season, right? Led 26 laps in this instance. He's got an 11th place and an 8th place on top of that, but we know and we've seen pissed offness come into play on all of that. Christopher Bell knew he should have won last week. Christopher Bell knew he had the car to win last week. Christopher Bell still finishes inside of the top 5. Christopher Bell, by the way, if you go back, even back to Indianapolis, and we talk about how, oh yeah, but this is this track or this is this track. Sometimes consistency is just consistency. And this is what my model friends who are out there in front of the runways don't really understand, is that you can put in raw numbers, but what you can't see is whether or not the consistency is there, right? So 4th place at Indy, 6th at Richmond, bad day at Michigan. He crashed out. You can't control that. 3rd at Daytona, 3rd at Darlington, 4th in Atlanta, 14th at Watkins Glen, 5th at Bristol, 7th at Kansas after starting on the pole, 6th at Talladega, 2nd at the Roval, 2nd at Las Vegas. Like, this is a team that has it together. This is a team that knows how to, and they know how to make it into the championship 4, right? They've done it every single year that they've been in. They've got some work to do, right? They've got to maintain where they're at right now. But that's a team that can do it, and they know how to do it, and they know how to put together late in the season how to make it happen. As for Tyler Reddick, like, this is one that you're going to look at in fact, Cody brought it up yesterday on the show, as far as how he's 6 of 7 out of his total races between Xfinity and the Cup Series inside of the top 5. His runs here in the 8 car, 4th and 2nd, 35th in his first year in the 8 car, last year in the 8 car. But that was kind of a throwaway. Last season, though, 3rd place on this particular track. Tyler Reddick probably could have been in contention for the win last week if he hadn't have gotten wrecked out by all of his good friends. So, look, I'm just saying, like, for me, it's Tyler Reddick would be the weak part of this one. But what a weak part to have. Like, we know that Christopher Bell's going to get it done. Tyler Reddick finished 2nd at Las Vegas earlier, 4th in Texas as well, 4th in Charlotte. So a top 5 finish there as well. I mean, like I said, if Tyler Reddick is the weak part of this one, that's a good problem to have. So give me Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, both to be inside of the top 5 at plus 250 over on Caesars.
Yeah, I mean, if this race goes the way it should be the Larson, Bell, and Reddick show. But we've just seen too many examples lately of it not going the way it should, Rod. But these should be 2 of the best cars in the field. You're getting them both top 5. You're getting them both at a good number. I do not hate that at all. James Rowland checking in saying the Bud 8 car is back. We can finally start to come together as a nation again. That is a great point, James. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Excited to see that. All right, Rod, next up for me, we're going back to the well. We hit this bet last week, giving us a better number this week. Ford's inside of the top 10, under 2.5, just like it was last week, Rod. Last week we got it at plus 130. This week we're getting it at plus 165. Are they not paying any attention? Don't know. Don't care. I will say the history at Homestead, there has been more Ford top 5 than at Las Vegas. We go to Las Vegas, or we go to Homestead less often. It's 1 race a year instead of, twice a year like Vegas is. So to stretch that out over farther. So let's look back, right? Last season, you had Blaney, Logano, and Almirola. Okay, Blaney's probably going to be good, but I already made a case against Joey. Eric's not racing anymore in the Cup Series. 22, you only had 2, Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick, who's not in the series anymore. In 21, you had 3, Kevin Harvick, not in the series. Michael McDowell, made a case against him already, and Ryan Newman, not in the series. In 2020, you only had 3, and it was, again, Ryan Newman, not in the series, Eric Almirola, not in the series, and Brad Keselowski. So not a lot of consistent guys that are in the top 10 every single time outside of Ryan Newman, I guess, being in Brad Keselowski. But then you go back, Rod, and you look at what have they done lately this season, 1.5 miles. The same conversation we had last week. Well, now you can add to it Las Vegas from last week. Joey Logano in 1st and Chris Buescher in 10th. That was it. Those were your only 2 Fords in the top 10. Obviously, Blaney got caught up in stuff. Keselowski got caught up in stuff. They were running faster than that earlier in the race, but to the point of it not getting done. And Logano, I guess he was probably a 10th place car before the cycling, right? But, he took him the cycling to actually win the race anyways. So go back and you look, though, Kansas, Ryan Blaney, that's your 1 Ford in the top 10. Michigan, you have the 2 RFK cars, not 3. Charlotte, you had Brad Keselowski and Josh Berry, still only 2. Kansas, Buescher and McDowell. And then Texas, Brad Keselowski and Chase Briscoe. So we've had a lot of races this season on the bigger tracks. The Fords are just not getting it done. We hit this bet last week. They're giving it to us again. And I would assume they go back and look at the previous race. They're like, oh, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay. But yeah, we don't, half of those guys aren't even racing anymore. That's spread out over a longer period of time. And so you're not going to get as true of a result as, because I think it'd been 4 of the last 5 at Las Vegas. Yeah, because all those have been in the next gen car. Like the last 4 at Homestead is going back all the way to 2020. So you're not getting as good of an accurate read, which is works in our case, in this case, because they're looking at it from a different lens. So I do like it, and I think that it's going to hold true again this week. Less than 2.5 Fords inside of the top 10.
Yep, and one of them will probably end up being Joey, and so that's where we're gonna be with that one. So, yeah, I mean, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think this is another instance in which we will go back to the well. Speaking of going back to the well, I'm gonna go back to the winning car number. Go back to even plus money again for even at plus 105. Exactly 1/2 of the round of 8 drivers are even numbered cars. If you look at the favorites to win this race, 4 out of the top 7 are all even number cars. Christopher Bell at 6-1, William Byron at 7-1. You get Ryan Blaney, and then you also get Brad Keselowski. So those are the even number cars within the top of that. When you go back and you look at who's won this race over the last couple of years, it was Christopher Bell in an even numbered car and William Byron in an even numbered car, and then Kyle Busch, for good measure, in an even numbered car. So 3 out of 5. And if you want to go back, how about 4 out of 6 in that one? Oh, wait, let's go back, because I think Martin Truex Jr., the year he won that particular race, was he in the 19 in 2017? No, I believe he was
in the 78.
Yeah, even number car as well. So look at that. Even number car has a pretty good streak on this particular track. I do believe that there are 2 very strong contenders for this. I know Kyle Larson is very short right now. I know his odds are very short. I know he is also short.
He's short as well.
I've stood next to him as well, so I know him and I are the same. But yeah, I know Boji Joe. I know you're throwing out a lot of these odd number cards. I get it, and I'm right there with you. But at the same time, I think if we're looking for a winner, it's going to come from one of these guys that I know that Cody's got 3 of 4.
Yeah, 3 of my 4 are even number cars, actually, Rod. So, yeah, so I guess I'm unknowingly feeling this with you.
Yep, and I'm picking an even numbered car. So at plus money, again, it just makes sense. So give me winning car even at plus 105.
Yeah, I don't have too much of an argument with you, of course, because the 3 of my 4 are even numbers. Rod, jump into the winners real quick. Once again, Kyle Larson, heavy favorite. He's actually a heavier favorite than he was last week. Once again, we're going to tell you, Kyle Larson should be really good. Wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Larson wins this race. Probably should have won it last year. Comes in too hot to pit road. Ends up losing the race. But see last week and what can happen and what can go wrong. That's what makes it hard to bet him at the number he's at. Boji Joe was just asking. He keeps hearing Ryan Blaney at 10-1. Penske to win again. I think that he could definitely be capable of it. You go back and look, like he was fast last year. He's actually the reason that Larson wrecked, because Larson was trying to leapfrog him coming to pit road, just came in too hot, brained it into the barrier. Blaney finished second, but 17th, 29th before that, had a third in 2020, but 11th, 17th, 29th, like mixed results. He could get it done. Not going to bet on him, though. Just wanted to answer your question. All right, Rod, the people who I am going to bet on, Christopher Bell, 7-1. And then I put in parentheses poll too. Look, I gave you the show last week. I said, if his win the poll number is 2-1 or less or more, take it. Oh, it was 4-1. And guess what? He won the poll. It's another 1.5 miles. Let's do it again, right? He's actually started. I don't think he has a poll here, but he started 2nd and 3rd place. And he's the 1.5 mile poll king. So if it's 2-1 or bigger, take the poll number for Christopher Bell. But 7-1 to win this race. We just saw it last week. Dominates the race, almost wins, so close to cashing for us. Gotta ride him again. He won this race last season, by the way. 11th, 20th in his previous races before that, but 8th place in his first start here in the Levine Racing number 95 car, Rod. But you go back and you look at 1.5 miles, right? High tire wear 1.5 miles. Las Vegas last week, 155 laps he led. Kansas a couple weeks before, 122 laps led. Eventually, if you're going to keep leading that many laps, you're going to win one of these races. So give me Christopher Bell at 7-1. Tyler Reddick at 8-1. I think this is a really good number. He has been really strong here. Finished in third place last season, but he was fast. He was up front the whole time. You're going to see him ripping the lip, right? We're going to have that camera angle off the fin on the back of the car, showing you how close to the wall he's getting. He's going to be beating and banging off of there. Tyler Reddick, this is it, Rod. You got to win this week, right? I'm not counting him out. He can get it done at Martinsville. Maybe the points work out for him, but he really needs to win this week. They're going to come in and go balls to the wall. I like taking him just as the outright. I don't love the top 5. I don't love the top 3. I think they're going to go for this, and it could go either way, right? They could come out busting fast. He's in a beautiful looking car and just destroy the field, or he could push it too hard, run into the tire barriers like Larson did last year and have an issue, right? So could go either way. But that iFantasy racing stat you were looking for earlier, in his last 7 races here between Cup and Xfinity, he's finished in the top 4, 6 of the 7 starts. And like Ryan says, do or die for him this weekend. I'm going to ride that and hopefully get our championship tickets punched into the next round, Rob. Your favorite driver, Tyrone Gibbs, at 24-1. Look, this is, and I think you maybe would agree with me, he doesn't have to get in the top 5. He doesn't have to finish in the top 10, but he has the capability and potential to win a race. I thought it was going to be this year. Maybe it's not, but at 24-1, what if he just goes out and has the race of his life? Now, if he goes out and he looks good and then he wrecks or has a speeding penalty or whatever, fine, whatever. You're not going to lose out on the top 5. You're not going to lose out on the top 10, but you're getting a big number for him to win, which we know that he's capable of. 7th place finish last season here, 10th or top 10 in both the stages. So he was up front kind of throughout the day. 1 Xfinity Series start here, 2nd place finish. I think at 24-1, he is worth it. And then Rod, Noah Gragson, 100-1. He's really, really fucking good here in the Xfinity Series. Do these SHR cars have it in them to go out, dominate an entire race and win? Probably not. Can he put himself in position late with a chance? Larson and Reddick get together. Bell gets collected in it, opens the door, and Joey Logano's there. I mean, Noah Gragson is there to win the race at the end of the day. Absolutely could happen, Rod. At 100-1, feeling some Noah Gragson this weekend.
Yeah, my only concern with the SHR guys is that as you start shutting the door on things, then stuff stops working.
Yeah, but look at Grant Enfinger last year at the end of GMS, right?
That's true. That's true.
And they're not shutting the door. Well, they're shutting 3 of the 4 doors, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, they're sort of shutting down, but not really.
They're turning off the lights, but they haven't turned off all the lights yet, right? They got like one office that's open.
They're going to sell like these offices over here, but they're going to keep this portion of the building.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll figure this out. No, I like.
I did give out Noah Top Ford earlier too, Bojo Joe. 22-1, 25. I think it was 22. Yeah, 22.
All right, I am going to give.
There's a lot of bets today, right? So I've been curving them in, but
that's all right. We'll get there in a second. People can start screenshotting in a second, but I'm going to give out William Byron. He's plus 750 over on FanDuel to win this particular race. I know that William Byron is not necessarily the sexiest to pick, especially when his teammate is like almost half of what he is. But if you look at what we look at with iFantasy race, the 1.5 mile total speed rankings chart, he's right there at the top, right? He was 8th in Kansas as far as that was concerned, 3rd, 16th, 2nd, 1st, 3rd at Charlotte, Kansas, and Vegas with an average speed ranking of 5.5, which is 0.3 better than Martin Truex Jr. at 5.8, which I get it. I understand, whatever. But Byron, 3rd overall in Homestead speed rankings as it pertains to that. If you look at what he's done here over the course of his career, last year he finished in 4th, finished 12th the year before that. He won this in 2021, a 9th place finish, and then 39th to 24th, a couple of races there, but that was his first couple of starts. You know, it wasn't before the William Byron that we know and love now. How's he done on intermediates? 4th at Vegas last week, 2nd at Kansas. There was that span in the middle of the season where he just was kind of blah, right? 30th at Darlington, 19th at Nashville, but he started the season with a 3rd at Charlotte, 6th at Darlington earlier in the year, a 3rd at Texas as well. He's got good finishes last season, 4th at Homestead, 7th at Vegas. He won Texas, finished 15th in Kansas, but 4th at Darlington, 6th at Nashville, 2nd at Charlotte, won Darlington, 3rd at Kansas, 1st at Vegas. I mean, he's perennially inside of the top 5 on these 1.5 mile tracks, and he's fast enough to win. He's obviously won quite a bit this season, and it just, to me, this is one of those instances where this 24 team, you sort of count them out at this point, because you're like, yeah, but, and then all of a sudden he pops up and he's like, yeah, but I've still got it. Like, this is not an instance where you say, yeah, but he's fading off. This is where William Byron says, yeah, but I'm still here. Like, I'm still gonna pop up and win races, whether you like it or not. And now we're in the playoffs. He's in the hole, right? I can't remember exactly where he's on playoff standings because I wasn't paying too close.
Byron is actually not in the hole. He is
barely to the good, right?
Yeah, he's 27 to the good, but he's the last car. So I mean,
Yeah.
Reddick, Blaney, Elliott, Hamlin win this race. He's below the cut line.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's a go time for him. He's got to pull something out of his butt. He knows how to win this race. He's done it before. So give me William Byron plus 750. Again, the top of the list is not moving my needle, because we saw last week that anything can happen on these 1.5 miles. And if you bet the top of the board, that's fine, because if it hits, it hits, and it's no surprise because it's a favorite. But the outright bets are always so dangerous when they get that short, because Kyle Larson didn't win last week. And if you bet Kyle Larson, you're like, that's dumb because you got to bet Kyle Larson. Okay, bet Kyle Larson. We're not telling you not to. We're just also telling you that comes with some risk. So Byron set plus 750.
Yeah, I like this. And I talked about him last week. I had the outright on him. He's been on a tear of really good finishes lately. Continued that again last week at Las Vegas. Boji Joe was asking if Byron's ever run the trucks. He has one start here in the trucks, and he did win that back in 2016. Also asking if he can win Martinsville. He's probably one of the best drivers at Martinsville in the Cup Series, so definitely in play to win there. But obviously, if it's the same thing with Joey Logano, right? If you can win this week, you don't have to worry about next week. You don't have to worry about another winner. Potentially, we could have one driver out of these 8 of the 7 remaining that makes it in on points if a playoff driver wins this week and next week, that are separate from Joey and not the same guy that wins this week as Nando next week. It could be a really hairy point situation where one guy potentially gets in. That's not the position you want to be in. So you want to win this week if you are one of these 7 playoff guys.
Agreed. All right. I know you want to win this week and you want to win your bets. So let's get to the bets. If you are, get out your pen and paper if you're listening on the traditional scene. Of course, for you watching on YouTube, here is the graphic. So I'm going to just go over my bets first, and then I'll go over Cody's bets. I started you out with Trackhouse over Childress at minus 120. I then jumped to Daniel Suarez as a top 10 car at plus 300. His teammate Ross Chastain as a top 5 car at plus 250. Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell as a top 5 car, both of them inside the top 5 at plus 240. Winning car number is even at plus 105. And then I said William Byron was going to win this race at plus 750. Cody gave you Zane Smith as the winner of Group G at plus 310. Group G over on Caesars, by the way, for those of you looking. And then he gave you Elliott over Logano at minus 125. William Bowman as a top 10 car at plus 130. Austin Dillon as a top 10 car at 6-1. Zane Smith as a top 10 car at 12-1. Do please pay no attention to the Carson Hocevar line. We did remove that one, but that was after, of course, I made the graphic. Then Cody gave you Noah Gragson as the top Ford at 22-1. Gave you Austin Cindric as the top Ford at 25-1. Truex as the top Toyota at 6-1. AJ Allmendinger as the top Chevy at 28-1. Cody said that under 2.5 Fords would finish inside of the top 10 at plus 165. Then gave you Christopher Bell at 700, plus 700. Tyler Reddick at 8-1. Gibbs at 24-1. And Gragson at 10-1 to win this race. The Straight Talk Wireless 400, which, by the by, I do use Straight Talk. I have a nice little hotspot that I bought from them a long time ago. So do use Straight Talk if you want some very inexpensive internet capabilities. They're good hotspots. I don't know about the phones, but I definitely know the hotspots are good. So definitely vouch for that.
Yeah, and if you're looking to advertise Straight Talk, we'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, please. I will talk all about Straight Talk. Or Ryan Reynolds, if you want me to talk about Boost Mobile, I'll talk about Boost Mobile too.
I think that's Mint, isn't it?
Oh, it's Mint. Ryan
He'll
Reynolds,
even get it right if you pay us.
I will totally get it right if you pay me. Look, I promise you that I won't get it wrong if you pay me, Ryan Reynolds. But all of that money, for all that money that he spent, guess it didn't work on me. My bad.
Guess not, huh? Boji Joe says 2 graphics or I drink too much. I know you can't see the YouTube comments, but I did make a comment. I finally made him make 2 pages. Woo-hoo. Yes, I did it. I finally forced Rod to create a second graphic. And now I feel accomplished this season.
It took this long for me to finally figure out. I should just probably make 2 out of the whole thing. So yeah, I was like,
there's only 3 left, Rod. We gotta enjoy it. Have fun. Like, yeah, you want to win money. Obviously, that's sort of the point, right? But have fun with it too. That's what we're here for. And yeah, I'm gonna go finish up this season strong, having fun. And Rod, we got all 3 series in action, all 3 of these weekends. So 9 races left to bet on. Xfinity Series tomorrow. They've already got like a majority of the odds up. They're ready to go for us, ready to rock and roll. So we'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. And I'm excited.
I'm totally excited. Yeah, again, I'm gonna miss the flow of of race week, obviously, because when you get to the off season, you're just like, wait, we don't have a race to break down this week, and so we can't. And you're like, yeah, like you get for the first week, you're like, cool, man, I can breathe. I don't have to worry about breaking down a race, right? Right after Phoenix, you're kind of like, all right, take a deep breath. But then like the next week, you're like, oh, there's nothing going on. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
What?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Not 8 weeks or 8 months off like the NFL has, Rod. We're right back at it. It's only a short off season, and we'll be here the whole time, so don't have to worry about that.
Indeed. All right, guys. Well, then let's go. Let you get your bets set up for that, and yeah. In the meantime, Cody, let's bid everybody adieu.
Let's do so, Rod. Follow me over on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all of my stuff there. And follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Click the subscribe over on YouTube, all that. We appreciate it. See you guys tomorrow for the Xfinity Series. Jessica, you have a good evening as well.
Indeed, yes. Everybody in the chat, have a good evening. Thanks for joining in, too, on the discussion. I will ask on Twitter the same question that I asked on Discord, so that way you guys over there on the old X machine can have the same opportunity to enter your thoughts on the matter. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at the meantime at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bottom, everything I got going on. You know where it's at. It's all over there. There's that bio link that you can find. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for some Xfinity Series racing. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.